Hello, and welcome to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Career Services and our presentation on creating a professional resume. We're going to look at the purpose of a resume, collecting information for your resume, some quick tips, content areas, and formatting tips, using action verbs to describe your work experience, customizing a resume for a specific position, items to include and exclude, final tips, and resources. This is a very brief overview that you can refer to again and again. First of all, what is the purpose of a resume? Well, it's a one-page summary of your education, your skills, your experience, and your accomplishments. It's a self-marketing tool designed to sell your qualifications to employers. It's also the first impression you make with an employer. A resume gets you the interview, so you can get the job. To collect your information, we recommend that you just begin with a master draft resume. Open up a document in Microsoft Word or Pages, whatever you have, and capture all the information and details that you're going to need going forward without worrying about formatting or wording or correct wording or what section it goes into. You want to include your education, your certifications, and any specialized trainings. You can list your on and off campus jobs, your internships, class projects and research, either individual or group, activities, student and professional clubs and organizations, coursework, publications, flight time, military training, and volunteer work. Remember with each of these to list the details, places and dates, put down the local address if you think you're going to need it. And also capture any quantifiable data that shows tangible results you achieved. Remember to list leadership roles, accomplishments, honors, and awards. Basically, some really quick tips. Your resume should be very concise. It should be easy to read, align visually with enough white space for the reader to skim. New college grads with little experience need only a one-page resume. Some graduate students and alumni may need a two-page resume. Ask others to review, but always spell check for yourself. Your name and your contact information are always at the top of the page, followed by your objective statement or summary of qualifications where needed. As you're a student, education should come next, but the remainder of these content areas, these section titles, research, projects, publications, internship experience, work experience, and particularly skills and additional trainings or certifications can move up and down the page as you see fit with respect to the job or the company, the employer that you're applying to. Here's a resume sample from our website. There's a few things I'd like to point out. First of all, that green arrow. Embry-Riddle students, please remember the hyphen is part of Embry-Riddle's name. It's a hyphenated proper noun, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, whether you are worldwide, Daytona Beach, or Prescott. On this resume, there are only two font sizes. The name is in one, and everything else, including the subject titles, are in a second size. The subject titles stick out because they are bold-faced in capital letters. The content information includes only a phone number, email, address, or LinkedIn URL. You do not need to put your United States or any other country postal address on your resume because recruiters will not contact you through it for an interview. They will call or email or reach out to you through LinkedIn. The highlighted areas are simply there to show the limited use of italics and bold-faced font, and that less is more. These are highlighted simply to show the recruiter, they're bold-faced and italics, just to guide the recruiter's eye to learn as quickly as they can about this candidate. This is slide 8. I won't review all 12 bullet points now, but when you take your master draft resume and you start to customize it into a formatted resume, return to this slide and try to follow through with it. This has been designed to help you create a resume quickly without worrying about text boxes and other formats. It's also something that will help you easily customize, update your resume. When it's time to describe your work experience on your formatted resume, you want to make sure that you include the position, the organization, the location, and the employment dates. What we saw in the sample was an engineering intern, worked at Southwest Airlines in Dallas, Texas from December to May 2018. In each section, everything should be listed in reverse chronological order, and you'll use the past tense for previous positions when describing your work experience. Every bullet point, that's what we call the descriptions, bullet points, can begin with an action verb. And you want to ensure that these statements illustrate what you did, rather than simply describing the project. Make sure these descriptions are full statements, but not sentences, and therefore they don't need periods at the end of them. Avoid using pronouns in these descriptions. I, my, we, you, and them. Pronouns are not used on resumes. Use the action verbs instead. Why do we talk about action verbs and technical nouns? Well, it makes reading efficient for recruiters, and that's really important. Recruiters also tell us that they oftentimes will only read the first and last bullet point of a work description, a work experience description. So make your first bullet point the strongest and use the last one to show outcomes. Action verbs also help you get straight to the point. Rather than a meandering semi-sentence about what you made, when you start with developed, designed, created, established, you get right to the point and you have a very succinct and concise description of what you did. Rather than dragging a reader's eyes across the page about what you were responsible for or tasked with, if you begin with inspected, tested, addressed, you will get right to the point again, and the reader will be very thankful. Technical nouns, using the specific professional language of your profession, show the recruiters that you have spent time learning how to be a professional. That you can speak this language and write this language is really important, and I can't stress it enough. If I simply say, oh, I wrote software to make a Bobot hit a wall or avoid a wall, when I could say I developed code in Java to assist a robot to, or I worked on cars at races, while I maintained the clutch and braking system for kart races. And then you can go further into the technical details. Here's the action verbs list that's on our website, and I include the URL at the end of this presentation. What I like about this list, and it's by no means inclusive, is that it sparks your imagination to think really about what it is you did in the role that you had with what you're trying to describe. And this is sorted into skills. So when you were the president of the SGA, you might look at interaction and people skills, because I bet you did some of those things. You probably interviewed people. You may have communicated, I'm hoping. You probably directed. But then when you were in your research project, it's not that you didn't analyze as SGA president, but research created the need for analysis, critiquing, detecting, systematizing, testing. Or maybe you were on a creative project or an organizing project. These are simply here as a teaching tool to help you write your resume. Describing your work experience, this example shows some interesting things. First of all, it's going to be placed in the center of the page or high up on the page, so the recruiter's eyes will be drawn right to it. So I'm intrigued, first of all, by the Center for Aviation and Aerospace Research. This person worked as a software engineer. What else did they do? Sikorsky. This person loves aviation and aerospace. That's where they were a junior software engineering intern. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm scanning the timeline to sort of create a picture of myself of this person in real time. Central Intelligence Agency. Wow, I'm really intrigued. Computer systems analyst. So now I have a picture of someone who started collecting requirements for developing necessary applications. That gives me a really great idea of the breadth of the field of knowledge the student should have when I interview him or her. Attain top secret security clearance. Okay, this resume, because I know the job I'm picturing this person for already, needs secret security clearance. So I'm going to put an extra mark on this resume as I'm reading it. Then I'm going to go back up, redesigned and engineered an object-oriented distributed real-time air traffic control simulation. This person seems like they really know their stuff. And at Sikorsky, performed unit testing navigation of flight instrument. So I know what my goals are for the job openings that I have. Now I'm going to reach out to this person and see if their career goals are a match. In time, you'll want to learn how to customize a resume. And again, this slide is here for you to use at that point when you need it. One organized way to do this is when you find a job you want to apply for, you want to cut and paste that position description and save it in a Word document so that you can find it. You're going to pull it up on your computer screen or print it out and hold it next to your resume. And you can go line by line. What are the job requirements? Look at your resume. How close do you match? What are the qualifications? Look at your resume. A lot of jobs have varied qualifications with multiple ways to match. What skills are listed? Do you have the same or similar? What soft skills are needed? So which of your activities helped you develop your soft skills or your career competencies? You can tailor your objective statement or professional summary for the position and the employer based on what you've learned in the job description and based on what you know you can do. You can include the specific skills that are required if you have them. Review the employer's keywords in the job description and use these to describe your work activities if they're accurate to you. You will be asked about these things in an interview, so you never want to say that you've done something you haven't really done. You can, however, add the employer's keywords to a skills section or some other area in your resume if you've really done it, but maybe it's not a direct match, it's an indirect match. If you can speak to it in an interview, you can put it on your resume. Again, slide 14, I do not want to read all these for you, but I do want to point out the first don't. If you're applying to companies in the United States, please do not include personal information, including your social security number, a photo of yourself, your marital status, gender, ethnicity, age, or salary information. Chances are resumes like that are not even allowed to be read, so please don't include that information. After you've written your formatted resume, come back to the slide and double check that you have paid attention to, that you've followed these do's and don'ts. Some final tips. Notice I started with the goal in mind. Win the interview. And how do you do that? With multiple people. Read and review your resume. Remember that resumes are subjective and everyone will have an opinion. You will be asked about the content in an interview, so you need to be confident in what's written on your document. Update it as often as feasible for you, but especially after a co-op or an internship. Always spell check, don't rely on others. This is the resource tab slide for resources that I used for this presentation, as well as what's available to you as an Embry-Riddle student. There are sample resumes on our website. There's the URL for the action verbs. We are on the YouTube channel, which is likely where you're viewing this presentation. And Embry-Riddle offers students a digital studio. The tutors that work in the digital studio are whizzes at Microsoft Word and can help you customize, help you format your resume. This is not a plug for Handshake. This is an encourager for you to use this very powerful job aggregator tool that will connect you with students all over the country as well as employers. You find it through Ernie using the Tools button. Select it and save it in your favorites. And when you log in, your profile will be there, but you will have to fill it out. We highly recommend using Handshake because it will help you with your career. Stay connected to us through all our social media channels, and know that on our social media challenges are a lot of our employers, and they love to see you on there. Thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful. Please reach out to your Career Services Program Manager through Handshake or at careers@erau.edu. We look forward to helping you.